Fastest rally drivers, headed by Neil Alport, competed in the Commodore Computers Rallysprint at Mystery Creek. Plenty of interest in the performances of the top drivers against some rally sprint specials.
Each winter, the New Zealand Field Days property at Mystery Creek, just outside Hamilton, plays host to two major motorsport events. In July, the World Championship Rally of New Zealand visits Mystery Creek for a special stage, and then in September, the rally season winds up with the National Rallysprint here at the home of New Zealand's Agricultural Field Days. Tony Teasdale won this event when it was first staged in 1987 with his Group B MG Metro 6R4, while last year it was Kim Austin driving a Mazda Rx-7 who took the honours. Neither Teasdale or Austin are back this year, which guarantees a new King of the Creek. Staged for the third time earlier this month with new sponsorship from Commodore Computers, the 1989 Mystery Creek National Rallysprint attracted almost all of the country's top drivers, chasing $5,000 in prize money and the last title of the season. 2 days of competition attracted 103 drivers out to capture the King of the Creek title. The action began on Saturday with qualifying to find the 48 fastest drivers who would progress into the elimination runs on Sunday. Newly crowned National Rally Champion Neil Alport made his intentions clear by setting the pace with his Group A Mazda, but he certainly didn't have things all his own way, with the top 5 qualifiers separated by less than 1 second. Alport's competition looked most likely to come from a newly developed hybrid V8 and 4-wheel drive car piloted by former Rallycross champion Steve Murphy from Papakura. Alport spent Saturday experimenting with different turbochargers, one designed to produce top-end power and the other designed for low RPM torque. In the end, he set identical times with both setups. Qualifying just 0.3 of a second slower than Alport's Mazda, Murphy then issued a threat to beat Alport on elimination day. Since finishing second here last year, the 4.4-litre V8 engined Hillman Avenger, which Murphy shares with his owner Don Hickman, has had a 4-wheel drive system developed by former New Zealand sprint car champion Kerry Jones. While the weekend's competition has yet to determine the Commodore King of the Creek, the title for the fastest lady competitor has already been decided. Auckland's Vanessa Slee qualified 20th in the 103-driver field in her Datsun 1600 coupe, along with her regular co-driver and husband Chris.
We're actually getting a lot better together. I think originally we used to get a little bit on each other's nerves, but I think it's working really well now. He's really encouraging, and I think he's the reason we're going so well.
And how do you find the male competitors react to you in basically a male-dominated sport?
I think 90% of them are excellent. There's the odd one that comes out with a smart comment, but it just makes you more determined. But on the whole, they're excellent. They're really good.
We joined the competition at the final 16 stage with top qualifier Neil Alport first on the course and easily moving through to the top 8 with a tidy run of 1 minute 26.9. Taranaki farmer David Ayling was next on the course and looked a solid bet to progress further with his Group A Mazda 323 4-wheel drive. Ayling had been second quickest but couldn't repeat his earlier effort when some time-consuming errors crept into this run. 1 minute 29.2 was good enough only for 9th fastest, and Ayling missed the cut-off and was out of the contest. Steve Murphy's best run had been a 1 minute 27.4 earlier in the day when he lined up for the cutthroat top 16 runoff. Progressing further seemed to hold no problems for the fast-moving Murphy, who looked well on target for a 1 minute 26 run. But disaster struck near the end of the run, with Murphy lucky not to seriously damage the car when he clipped a track-marking tyre. Performing well at the wheel of a 1600cc BDA Escort owned by Northern Region Rally champ Will Orr was Matamata farmer Brian Watkin. The ultra-smooth driving style was paying dividends for Watkin, who was coaxing plenty of speed from the little Escort. Watkin clocked 1 minute 29.2 on this run, equal with Ayling to miss a place in the top 8 by just a fifth of a second. Surprising many with the Group N standard production Mazda 4-wheel drive was Aucklander Roger Goss, who easily qualified with a hard-driven 1 minute 27.8. Making beautiful V6 music with his Cosworth-engined and 4-wheel drive Mazda Rx-7 was Rotorua's Graham Barker. The former hill climb champ really set Mystery Creek buzzing with this run of 1 minute 26.2 to make him the fastest qualifier into the quarter-final round. Barker's corner speeds in the 400-plus horsepower machine don't seem very quick, but the car slingshots out of the corners faster than anything on the Mystery Creek course. Here's a rather more modest Mazda Rx-7 with a smaller 12A engine, which was built and driven by Hamilton's Charlie Evans. Evans has had a successful year with this car in 1989, and while it lacks the power of the bigger 13B rotaries on the tight Mystery Creek course, Evans' precise driving style is rewarded with a very competitive 1 minute 30.1. He doesn't qualify, but 12th place is a worthy result. Christchurch's Stuart Weaver keeps the South Island hopes alive, clocking 1 minute 27.2 in the Subaru to qualify third fastest. Next on the course is the unique Renault 5 Turbo of Chris Barnes of Rotorua. This mid-engine machine often excels in rally sprints, but today Barnes goes no further after clocking in a 1:29.3 for 11th place overall. Northlander Ian Atwood claims the honour of fastest escort with a 1 minute 28.9 to qualify, while another 1600cc car joins Atwood in the last 8. Hamilton's Ross Meekings fires the high-revving Corolla GT around a tenth of a second slower. While Murphy is out of the contest after collecting the fence, the Avenger V8 does make the quarter-final in Don Hickman's hands with a 1:27.6. Hard-charging Greg Taylor uses all of the road as he qualifies with a 1:28.6, and that's the best from a conventional RX-7. Only one 1300cc car has reached the final 16. Aucklander Grant Liston has this little Nissan Sunny singing as he chases the bigger engine machines. Liston manages only a 1 minute 34.2 after an early mistake and winds up 16th overall. This is Bay of Plenty driver Will Orr making his attempt to reach the final 8, and more importantly, beat the time Brian Watkin set earlier in his car. An excellent rally season in 1989 saw Orr win the Wolf Mufflers Northern Region Series, and earlier this month he won the Mount Maunganui Car Club Rally. At the rally sprint he finds Watkin is 1.6 seconds faster in his car, but neither qualifies. Last to run is Auckland Mazda Rx-7 driver David Thexton, who makes a 0.4 of a second improvement on his previous best, but here the 1 minute 31.5 is only good enough for 15th place. So the top 8 qualifiers are Barker, Alport, Weaver, Hickman, Goss, Taylor, Atwood and Meekings. Alport is the first quarter-finalist on the course and finds a 0.4 of a second improvement over his previous run to record a 1 minute 26.5, despite the fact the surface is beginning to cut up in a couple of places. Alport's approach to this event seems to be to drive precise lines and record consistent times. Stuart Weaver is looking very impressive in the possum-born Subaru. Weaver has adapted quickly to the car with more horsepower than he's ever experienced before. In his previous run, Weaver improved by 3 seconds, and he looks set for another improvement until one of the unforgiving marker tyres upsets his hopes. That spectacular flip certainly ended the rally sprint hopes of the talented 25-year-old New Zealand junior rally champion.
We Must admit, it's all my fault. The car was brilliant. It was just really good, and we tried to get a wee bit extra out of it, and I unfortunately clipped an apex, clipped a tyre right on the apex of a corner, and flipped us over.
Really underlining the potential of the modern Group N standard production cars, here was Aucklander Roger Goss in his Mazda 3D3 four-wheel drive. Some hard driving from Goss sees him take some wider lines, and he's 2 seconds slower than his previous run to record a 129.9. Heartened by his pace-setting run in the last round, Graham Barker sets off with the potent hybrid Mazda on his quarter-final run. However, not long after the start, Barker has the Cosworth-powered Rx-7 out of control and retires the car with broken steering. Steve Murphy might have been eliminated, but the Avenger V8 remains in the quarterfinals for Don Hickman to drive. Here's the race cam view from the V8 Beast as Hickman clocks a 1 minute 30.5 and narrowly misses a semi-final place by 0.2 of a second. It's this missed gear change coming off the concrete banking for the last time which puts Hickman out of the Commodore Computers National Rally Sprint. Last year, a Mazda Rx-7 driven by Kim Austin won the King of the Creek title, but this year only one of the noisy rotary-engined coupes has reached the final 8. Rotorua's Greg Taylor is a forceful driver with the ex-Stuart Weaver and Rod Millen car and has been 6th quickest up until this stage of the contest. In this quarter-final run, Taylor tries very hard but can't match the earlier best of 1 minute 28.6. He's more than 2 seconds slower at 1 minute 30.9 and bows out of the competition. Last away in the quarter-finals is Hamilton Toyota Corolla GT driver Ross Meekings. He's been improving his time while other drivers have struggled to match their earlier runs. Meekings extracts maximum power from this car, and it's the precise lines and excellent corner speeds which are finding time for him on the course. Meekings was slowest into the top 8, but another fine run gives him a 1 minute 30.3, and that time knocks Hickman out of the top 4. It's a fine effort in a 1600cc two-wheel drive car with less than 200 horsepower, but as Meekings crosses the line, it appears he may have a problem. So the semi-finalists are Ross Meekings in his Toyota Corolla GT, the Group N Mazda 323 of Roger Goss of Auckland, Whangarei 1600cc BDA Escort pilot Ian Atwood, and National Rally champ Neil Alport in his Group A Mazda. Coming up next, we take in the deciding stages of the Commodore Computers National Rally Sprint at Mystery Creek.
Commodore, King of the Creek.
Welcome back to the Commodore Computers National Rally Sprint at Mystery Creek. We were waiting now for the semi-final runs to take place to find out who's going to be in that final for the title of King of the Creek. And joining us in the commentary this afternoon is Rally of New Zealand Group N champion Ken Adamson.
Good afternoon, Grant.
First of all, Ken, we're seeing on the course Ross Meekings in the semi-final run. It looks like he's going very slow in the Toyota Corolla GT, and I suspect that he does in fact have a gearbox problem. We suspected in the earlier run.
I think that's very accurate, actually. He's just got no pace at all.
It's in fact happened a couple of times earlier this year, and I think he's just perhaps deciding to pull onto the course and to make sure that he ends up with a fourth rather than a fifth placing. But we'll go back and find out from Ross a little later on exactly what has happened with the car, but I certainly do think it's gearbox failure that has put him out of contention here. So Neil Alport now comes up onto the line. He's looking to repeat a time of 86.5 in an effort to get into that final two places, and the Mazda 323 heading down towards the gateway. Ken, we've certainly seen these Mazdas in particular coming very quickly out of the gateway there.
Yes, they're a very well balanced car and they're very efficient. Four-wheel drive is ideal for this circuit.
I noticed Neil's been taking very clean lines all through the weekend, and I think that may be the secret, in fact, to holding up consistent times.
It has been both days. There's absolutely no room for error on the circuit.
You've been out on the circuit earlier in the weekend, Ken, and we're heading down the straight now. What some people may not realise is, in fact, that some of this course, while it looks from the public's point of view to be easily seen, in fact there's quite a few blind brows. We're coming over one there.
Most definitely. The approach to that is about 120, 130 kilometres per hour. It's left-hander off camber brow, which is very, very tricky.
Coming around through the S's now, and this is quite a demanding little test as well.
Yes, most definitely. It's got to be a tight line. You've got to keep the car well balanced and straight.
Going down into the extension very shortly for the final time for Neil Alport. He's looking for an 86.5 to ensure he gets through. That's very nicely around the concrete embankment.
It's very, very hard, that embankment. There's no easy way around.
He's coming up to the gateway for the final time, heading down to the finish line now, and along with co-driver Bob Haldane, I'm pretty sure that they'll know whether they're on the pace or not.
Yes, this is very tricky just along here. It's so fast and so rough.
It's certainly cut up earlier in the day, and looking at the time, Neil Alport has gone through, and it's an 85.5. That is the fastest run of the weekend so far on the course. Here comes Ian Atwood, and this is his chance to get into the semi-final. The little BDA Escort perhaps surprised a few to be up in the top four placings, Ken.
Ian's been consistent all weekend, and he's driven very, very well with no mistakes.
Coming in through the gateway for the first time and heading down into the extension, Ian Atwood from Whangarei, and I noticed he's got quite a few supporters on the bank. I'm sure they're going to be cheering him along as well.
Yes, it's interesting to watch the different characteristics of two-wheel drive versus four-wheel drive, and you'll see very easily why four-wheel drive is more efficient.
It's another clean line around the corner, and he's going on to the main straight now. What sort of speed would perhaps a BDA be getting up to down here, Ken?
I think they would be getting around 110, 120 kilometres per hour quite easily.
In fact, I noticed he's got his lovely lady Katrina in the car with him this time. She was driving earlier in the weekend, and she's obviously decided to sit with him in the hot seat. Perhaps he wants to make sure he does it right.
Yes, it certainly looks that way, and I think she's enjoying it.
Round through the S's, Ian Atwood on his way to trying to record a very good time. Just looking at his times over the weekend, very consistent, around the 88.9, 89 mark. He hasn't varied very much at all, while some of the drivers, in fact, have slowed off in the conditions as they have got quite a lot rougher in these later runs.
Yes, it's a matter of picking your line here and picking the cleanest part of the circuit, and if you can do that, you do put in a good time.
Back through the gateway goes Ian Atwood, the BDA Escort from Whangarei. He's heading down towards the finish line, and it certainly looks like he's going to be in the 89s. Let's just watch the clock as he comes towards the finish line. A very fast exit out through the finish, and Ian Atwood has scored an 89.2. That's an excellent time. Let's go over to the pits now and find out what happened to Ross Meekings in that semi-final run.
Initially, we didn't look as though we were going to get in the top 16, so we were quite lucky in some respects. There was a few guys that had some problems, and we ended up in the top 8, and we gave it our best shot, but unfortunately, right towards the finish line, it stuck in first gear again. So we finished the run, we qualified for the top 4, but we started to get 4th rather than 5th. And that's motor racing.
So bad luck for Ross Meekings with the gearbox as we come now to the final semi-finalist. This is Roger Goss of Auckland in the standard production Mazda 323. Ken, you know all about this car.
Yes, it's a very good car, and Roger has driven very well all weekend.
Do you think he's turned up the boost very much to be on the pace he's been on this weekend?
Yes, I would say he's probably running about 1.1 bar, which is quite a lot more horsepower than normal.
Just looking at the car, and perhaps it's because it sounds a little quieter than some of the cars, it doesn't appear to be going that quick, but he certainly is.
Yes, most definitely. They're very deceptive. They're efficient, as I keep saying. They come out of the corners very well. You can see all the power's going on the ground there. There's nothing wasted.
So he's looking to try and beat an 89.2 in an effort to get into the final run-off and for the title of Commodore Computers National Rally Sprint Champion here at Mystery Creek this afternoon. Round the tarmac he goes, very wide there. That may in fact have cost him a place in the final, Ken.
I would think that's going to be very close now. He lost probably 1 or 2 tenths of a second there.
And if you lose it there, Ken, there's not very much places you can make it up here.
No, definitely not. That's the area where you will make the good time.
Let's just have a look at it out the front of the car now as Roger Goss comes down into the extension for the final time. Makes you want to feel a little bit seasick, Ken.
It looks good, doesn't it?
He'll be coming up over the brow now into the gateway for the final time. He's trying to beat an 89.2. That's Ian Atwood's time in the Escort to get into the final, out through the gateway, and he'll be going very hard to try and pick up any time he can down here. He's out through the finish line. There he goes, and the time is 89.3. That's a tenth of a second off the pace. Very unlucky for Roger Goss not to make the final.
And that we were hoping to maybe make the last 4 anyway, but...
And you've got your wife Katrina with you. Katrina, you've also been driving this weekend as well.
Yes, driving my own car, yeah.
But you're in the hot seat for the final run. Are you going to give him any advice?
Just to go for it.
Neil, into the final run off 25.5 in the last run, a very fast time. Any more time left in the course?
I don't think so. You know, I was surprised at that time, but you know, I think the secret of the weekend has been tidy driving all weekend because of the track cutting up and being rough in places. So trying to go fast does not necessarily mean you're going to get a fast time.
You're quite surprised to see some of the other leading contenders that were close early in the day drop away?
Yeah, they all sort of disappeared on me a bit at the end there, but I'm sure Ian is more than capable of doing the job in the final. He's driving extremely well.
So the final run-off in the Commodore Computers National Rally Sprint at Mystery Creek is down to Ian Atwood, this man from Whangarei, and the current New Zealand champion Neil Alport. Ian Atwood's off the start line first. He'll be looking to try and do as good a time as he can. I think he's obviously a little bit disadvantaged against Neil Alport, and I think Neil probably feels a little bit comfortable with the fact that Ian is in the final.
Yes, I guess that's so. I think there's about a 4-second deficit between the 2 cars, and Ian would have to put in a real blinder to
once again, a good line round there, Ken.
Yes, definitely. He's driving very well, very clean. He's not using any more road than necessary, and that's important. It's very, very tight.
In fact, looking back to last year, Ian Atwood won the 1600cc class here at Mystery Creek. He's going to do it again. I don't think he thought he was going to be in the final runoff.
Well, that's the way it goes. If you have good luck and good driving, you get there.
And we've seen all weekend, a tenth of a second is all it takes. If you've lost that much in a run, that can put you out, and that's what happened to Roger Goss. And Ian Atwood is through. He's coming into the S's for the final time.
Yes, he's driving well. He's got the car well balanced. You can see he's taking a tight line there. He's not wasting time. I think he's getting the maximum out of that BDA.
It'll be interesting to see just how much quicker, or if he does do it any quicker, on this final run. Down into the extension for the final time. A little bit slower perhaps around there, but once again, a good exit.
I think that's correct. I think this is the tension that's really building up with the drivers now, and of course that in itself will make the odd mistake here and there.
Out through the gateway for the final time. This is the chance for Ian Atwood to try and win the Commodore Computer National Rally Sprint. Let's wait to see his time as he comes down towards the finish line. Ian Atwood, and it's a 90.4. Well, there's some supporters on the bank cheering for Ian Atwood. Even if Neil Alport does blitz that time, it's a very good effort from Ian Atwood. Here comes Neil Alport, the current New Zealand champion. And I wondered if he'll put the sort of pace on that he put on in the semi-final run. It was an 85.5. Let's take the ride from inside the car with Neil Alport as he heads to the gateway for the first time.
Yes, we go through the gateway here. He'll be going from first to second gear here down the brow. He'll be going back into low gear to go around the concrete corner here. Very, very tricky. He'll be back up into second gear here. He'll set the car up. You can see him fighting it quite hard there. Be full acceleration down here. He'll be going into third gear, and as I said earlier, he'll be doing probably 120, 130 kilometres per hour. This is where it all counts, coming over this brow. This is where you make it or not. It depends how brave you are and how good a control you have at that point right there. As you can see, Neil's done it very well. There's a little drain there. You may notice he's just gone over, and he's into the left-hander here. Full power on here. Yes, there you are. That's the pressure telling. He a little bit sideways, obviously, but all the same, he held it, and he held it very well. So he's not making too many mistakes. He's keeping a tight line and obviously driving well within his capability.
Around the extension for the final time, Neil Alport heading towards the gateway and looking for that title, the Commodore Computers National Rally Sprint King of the Creek here at Mystery Creek this afternoon. Out through the gateway, it amazes me just how fast this car is going down through the finish line straight here. 86 dead. Neil Alport, the 1989 Commodore Computers National Rally Sprint champion. What a great weekend's racing.
Marvellous day. Weather's been great, competition's been great, and I think we're all rooting there for the escorts.
Certainly a different venue to perhaps some conventional rally sprint circuits. You like the Mystery Creek circuit?
Yeah, I think it has to be the premier spectator spot. The facilities were great. I think everyone who came here really enjoyed themselves.
You've not only sponsored the event, but it's also been a little bit of a family affair for all your family here as well.
Yes, it's fair to say we've had some ups and downs. All four of us were driving, my wife and my two children, but the cars went well, and the panel beating won't take too long. Marvellous race.
Thanks very much.
Congratulations.